Today it is time for a best of 3 series of professional StarCraft 2. It's time for a Terran versus Zerg, where in game number 1 we find ourselves on the map Eternal Empire. Spawning here in the bottom left hand corner, playing with the red Terran pieces from Poland, we have one of the highest ranked European Terran players, and he goes by the name of souL. His opponent in the opposite corner, playing with the blue Zerg drones, he's from Finland. He's the highest ranked StarCraft 2 player of all time. Of course, that means we have none other than SERRA'L. Alrighty, so I just looked it up just because I was interested. It turns out, as of me making this video, SERRA'L is currently considered to be the #1 on the European Grandmaster League ladder. And his opponent souL is currently sitting at 7,000 MMR in the 3rd place position. Now SERRA'L, I was gonna say, maybe this is a really early scouting drone. I know some of the top level Zergs have been... Is this a Proxy Hatchery? Oh my god, it is! I was gonna say, I know some of the Zerg players recently have been scouting for shenanigans on their side of the map. Especially SERRA'L and Raynar have been looking for proxy barracks and you know, things of that nature on their side of the map in a lot of the Terran versus Zergs right now. But apparently this is a bit of a different start here. Now the question is souL gonna SCV scout? If he SCV scouts, then he will know that there is no expansion here on the side of the Zerg. He will know that something is not quite right. I don't think he's gonna be stumbling upon this hatchery anytime soon. This looks like a very standard opener, and he is sending that SCV. Okay, this is actually really important. If he wouldn't have been sending this SCV, I mean, if he wouldn't have sent the SCV, rather, I'm pretty sure that this Reaper would go straight across the map. He probably is still going to send it for at least like half the way or so, but then he will probably realize that it needs to come home and defend. Command center does go down right here on the low ground. And I think this is, all things considered, like a really good situation for SERRA'L to be in, right? I mean, he would have probably preferred not having that SCV scout at all. Oh no, souL. Okay, I thought for a second he was just gonna block the 3rd base from coming up, which is what SERRA'L goes for in like 99% of his games. Okay, he is gonna send it to the natural here eventually. So the Reaper is moving out. Roachwarren is starting up in the meantime on the side of the Zerg. There we go. SCV sees that there's nothing on the low ground. Okay, and he is gonna be sending the Reaper back home. Now, will he find out exactly what's going on, right? So there's a Marine right here at the front as well. He may just assume that this is some sort of pool first shenanigans. He does now see that Roachwarren inside of the main base as well. souL needs to figure out what's happening. If he sees the creep here, there it is. He knows exactly what it is that he is going up against. Now, this is very unorthodox. This is not the way that SERRA'L normally plays this matchup. He's extremely good at playing the macro game, probably the best macro player in the world, but he's been mixing it up a little bit recently. And you know what? I wouldn't be surprised, right? Considering both of these guys are top level, you know, players that are in the same time zone. I mean, one of them is in Poland, the other one is over in Finland. I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, they practice against each other regularly, right? So maybe this is just, you know, SERRA'L being a little bit cheeky, showing a strategy here that he has never actually shown to souL before. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. Regardless, there is already that tech lab right now in the factory, so a Cyclone is going to be coming up. The first Ravagers are out. SERRA'L is making a couple of drones in the meantime at home. He really wants to force the lift up right there on that command center, prevent it from finishing up that orbital command. This is a little bit risky, though. Yeah, okay, I was gonna say, if you let it burn, right, all of a sudden this becomes a massive problem. Quite surprised, though, that SERRA'L wasn't gonna go straight for the actual production right over here. Is he gonna be able to get himself a couple of those corrosive vials on the tech lab? Is he gonna be able to get the kill? First Cyclone right now is out. It does lock on one of those Ravagers. Nice grenade right there as well with this Reaper. And where are you gonna go now? I mean, actually, nice Ravager snipe there. Where are you gonna go right now if you're SERRA'L? I like this secondary bunker as well. The first one is a little bit far away from the ramp, but I like this backup bunker. The backup bunker. I don't mind this necessarily. Now, I love this too, actually. Look at that. There's an engineering bay in the meantime on the side of SERRA'L in his natural expansion. And while the SCV there was killed, this is pretty good. Gets another lock on, gets another kill. Beautiful defense so far here by souL. And you know what? Despite the fact that this looks like a rough start, I don't actually mind this too much. SERRA'L wasn't able to go for his expansion there at his planned timing, but he's also not really committing that much, though. He's really not committing that much. I actually expected him to maybe push up on this high ground a little bit harder, but I think what he's just doing right now is he's just, you know, spreading a little bit of creep, soft containing this Terran player inside of their main base. He's now even mining those mineral patches over at the 3rd base of the Terran. Or I guess this is now the first expansion of the Zerg. might actually come into play later on. If he manages to mine out that base like halfway for like 5 minutes, that mineral count is going to be significantly reduced. The question is, when will souL be able to break out of this? So the lock-ons here with the Cyclones are very good. Wouldn't mind seeing a siege tank coming up as well. Maybe a siege tank right over here on the edge would be absolutely fantastic. Does get a kill right now, SERRAL, that is, on that barracks. Good lock-on once again. Queens are running a little bit low on energy, but he's actually spreading creep backwards. Now, in the meantime, right, while this is all going on, it's just non-stop drone production right now by SERRAL. He's got the hatchery morphing here into a lair. And despite this being a very unorthodox way of opening up, I think he's actually doing this wonderfully. I mean, I'm not surprised. This guy's pretty good at playing StarCraft, believe it or not. Even though he never does this kind of stuff, turns out he's an expert at it. He knows exactly how much to commit. Love the fact that he's setting up a little concave as well. Well, that was a little bit sloppy, I suppose. Didn't have energy right there for transfuse, I don't think. Probably only... Well, actually, I think he had energy right there for a transfuse, but apparently he didn't want to commit the energy right there. Does get a Cyclone right here for his troubles, too. It will be a mech transition, by the way, as well from souL. Now, he's forced to reproduce that barracks because he couldn't actually add on the third factory here. I think that's probably why he decided to go for, you know, for the barracks once again. You need, obviously, a barracks if you want to go ahead and play mech, because you still need that factory, you know, production as well. Alright, so a siege tank is out. You gotta be careful. That Overlord over here, actually, not currently spotting the high ground, but I can assure you, right, if a siege tank would be positioned right over here, this Overlord would go on a little bit of a field trip, and it would definitely give those Ravagers the high ground vision that they need. I think eventually SERRAL is gonna be forced home. But this is already an amazing position right now for the Finnish Zerg player. Okay. A lot of Cyclones do end up falling here as well. Another one of those Ravagers does fall, though. You know what? Eventually, yeah, I think that the Terran player will be alright. The only problem right now is that there's literally creep inside of his natural expansion. So he's gonna have to scan in order to, like, actually get rid of that creep before he can land the command center. The drones right now that we're mining over at, I guess, the third base of the Terran player, they're gonna go back home right now as well. And there we go. The creep will finally disappear, but this is actually all so painful. What a cool style of playing. I've never actually really seen this before. I know a bunch of Zerg players do this every once in a while. I think that the response right here from souL is pretty good as well. I don't really know exactly what he could have done differently, but it seems like the Zerg right now is in a really, really nice position. Lair is done. Third base is, well, done actually at this point as well. He's got a decent amount of queens, and I love the fact that he's got creep spreading backwards towards his own main base, which is a little bit odd. Right now with the Hellions, though, apparently feeling brave and, you know, going after that hatchery over at the third base, the Zerglings can potentially get a little bit of a scout in right now as well, and he will see exactly what's going on here inside of the main base. A second barracks is being produced. So maybe I actually misread this. I thought that this was going to be a mech transition, but I guess that this is going to be, yeah, it's going to actually be a bio transition right now from the Terran player. So I guess on this small of an economy, souL is not feeling too confident playing that mech-based army. So he's got a little bit of a hit squad right here of Cyclones and Hellions. He even got himself the Blue Flame upgrade as well, but it looks to me like he wants to go for a transition right now towards bio. Alrighty. Now, SERRAL is going to continue the memes for a little while longer. Look at this. He's getting himself a lot of roaches. He's got the Tunneling Claws upgrade coming up right now as well for those roaches, including the Burrow upgrade as well here on that natural expansion. He's going to be able to tunnel those roaches underground. Now, since this Terran player is completely thrown off of his game, I would not be surprised if he's going to forget, you know, producing like a missile turret. Most of the time, you have a missile turret as part of your build order. And that way you can detect a lot of those incoming pushes. I wouldn't be surprised if this is going to come in at such a weird timing that souL is not going to be prepared for it at all. He does have a third command center done right now, though. I would love to see that one flying over to watch the third base as well, because at this point there's not a whole lot that SERRAL can do about it. I mean, he's got 3 base saturation. I'm actually really impressed with the way that SERRAL's playing this. This is so cool. So, for the longest time, SERRAL was known as a very, very predictable player. He was doing the same thing every single time. It was one of the main critiques, I suppose, that a lot of people had of his playstyle, because, I mean, in a way, he was just playing the macro game over and over and over again, and if you do that better than your opponents, I guess you can win a lot of stuff. It's great, especially if you're a ladder player, of course, but it's not as efficient if you want to play in tournaments, right? So, being unpredictable has a lot of value. Now notice those little spines, okay, on the back right there of that roach. That does indicate here to this Terran player that it is gonna be that Tunneling Claws research that's done. +1/+1 is finishing up right now as well for the finisher. Immediately missile turrets do come up. He's actually already got one just about to finish here in the natural, so I don't mind this at all. But is he setting up a surround? Oh my god, he was ready to set up a surround. I think that souL may have noticed those, you know, small black, you know, movement patterns underground after, you know, he scanned there, or at the very least right before he scanned. Good set of corrosive piles going down as well. Most of the siege tanks probably will fall, but that was not the best engagement. That being said, though, if you look at the supply count right now, it does not lie. It's 140 supply right now going up against, well, pretty much 90 supply here from souL. souL does have +1/+1 finishing up too. The only thing I don't really like here for SERRAL is the fact that he's stuck on Roach Ravager. If this Terran army gets big, it's very difficult to win with just Roach Ravager. But you know what? I don't think he ever is going to allow it to get into that position. Yeah. Imagine him doing a roach drop inside of the main base right now as well, right? There's a lot of additional potential there. He does walk into his own corrosive biles, which, believe it or not, is not ideal. But yeah, while Roach Ravager, it falls off in the late game. If you just never allow your opponent to transition into the late game, apparently you're gonna be A-okay. All right, game number 2, we find ourselves on the map Death Aura. Now, that must have been a pretty frustrating game for souL to play, right? So souL, he's extremely good at playing that Bio-Terran army. Wouldn't be surprised if he's gonna be able to get there in this particular case, that we're gonna be seeing that very aggressive drop play and that very aggressive pushing and microing that he's very, very good at. I do want to compliment, though, before this game gets underway, the way that, like, SERRAL was playing that previous game. Because I can imagine, if you're like the SERRAL in this game, right? I can imagine that you probably win more than 80% of the standard macro games that you play against someone like souL, right? 80% is being pretty conservative. I can imagine if you're at the top of your field, right? Be it in a video game, be it in a sport, be it in literally whatever. I can imagine that it's really easy to get comfortable, right? And maybe even a little bit too comfortable. Now, if you listen to any SERRAL interviews, it's very obvious that he doesn't really view himself like that at all. He knows, obviously, that he's the best player in the world, but I don't think he views himself as the guy who's gonna be the king of this game for many, many years. And I think that's a very healthy mindset to have. You always want to continuously improve and push yourself forward. Because going for that Proxy Hatchery in the previous game, it's smart in multiple ways. Not only does it give you the advantage in this series right now, but it also gives any future Terran opponents that you might be facing off against at a later time, that thought in the back of their mind that you might be cheesing them as well. In the past, right, when SERRAL was doing the same strategies over and over and over again, players started cutting corners, right? They started playing extremely greedily, knowing very well that SERRAL wasn't going to be in their face, right? He would just let them do whatever. And that can certainly work against you if you know your opponent are going to always play the same strategy, right? You can just, you know, cut many corners, get yourself an extremely quick third command center, for example, not really put on a lot of pressure, and then eventually, because you played so risky in the early game, you may be able to obtain the victory. Well, that was one of the things that SERRAL was facing off against every once in a while, and I think that that previous game was really clever, not just for this series, but also for other opponents in the future. Anyhow, we did once again see that drone scouts scouting this section of the map, so no proxy barracks were found, and obviously that's because we just have that very standard barracks opener right here into a command center, into a factory. Now souL, ooh, he is sending the Reaper to the third base first. There was already a drone, however, hiding by the Vespian geysers. He's going to be able to start up the third hatchery, pretty much uncontested right now. Cheeky little move there once again by SERRAL. That's one of those drones that can very easily be spotted, but obviously souL doesn't really know where it's located. He doesn't even know if there's a drone out there at that point in the game. He does have the factory coming up right now. Now, is he going to go third CC? Yeah, he will. Okay, so I like this opener a lot. I'm a big fan of this push, especially when Terran players follow it up as well with Banshees. There are some vulnerabilities, rather, when you go for the third CC this quickly, especially if your opponent decides to get a very aggressive roach push coming, right? Then you can definitely go down accidentally just because you went for a really quick third CC. And it seems like most Banshee follow-ups sort of shut that down. Now, judging though by the fact that the barracks and the starport are pretty far apart, I don't think he's going to be going for that. Probably just going to be a Viking into a Liberator or something along those lines. But there's no denying that I still really do like this opener right here from souL, because it just gets you a lot of eco, right? It's difficult to face off against a Zerg player in a macro game in the first place. I struggle against it a lot whenever I play Terran against Zerg. It always feels like Zerg just has 100 drones right at the beginning of the game. And it's difficult to slow them down. Very, very complicated. So if you can't really slow them down, you can also just try and join them in that regard instead. Actually, it is going to be a tech lab. Okay, I thought he was going to produce the tech lab right there on the barracks, but he's just going to produce it straight up on the starport. Alrighty. It's a fusion core. So is this going to be a Banshee into a battlecruiser? Is that a thing? I don't know if I've actually seen that before. Maybe he's just going to wait right now for a little while. Yeah. I think he's not actually producing anything. Maybe he could start producing a Banshee right now. I think that's probably the reason why he already produced a tech lab. He could start producing a Banshee right now if he saw a roach push coming. And speak of the devil, actually. I wasn't paying attention there to the production tab very much, but yep, the roach warren is coming up. And, well, I mean, I was going to show you there, but souL obviously already knows that that is the case as well. And now he does start at the Banshee. Okay, that was a clever little opener. Doesn't look like a big deal, but I think it might be very tempting to try to line up your tech lab finishing with the fusion core finishing as well. And then this roach push would be dangerous, right? It's potentially even lethal. I mean, it could still be lethal. There's a bunker coming up. There's Marines being produced out of that barracks as well. He's going to switch it over there as well with the reactor. Let's see how good this defense from souL is going to be. Now, this is not a very committed push, by the way. It's only 7 roaches. 7 roaches and 7 Zerglings. I guess this does slow down, you know, the battlecruiser follow-up. But the thing is, like, Terran doesn't really know at this point, right? It's really difficult to know how committed the Zerg is going to be. For all you know, right now, there could be like 30 Zerglings on the back of this as well. Here's the Banshee, though. And I like this a lot. This puts a timer on this build. Other than corrosive bile, Zerg doesn't really have a whole lot of anti-air here. He's trying. That shouldn't really happen, though. You saw that flinch right there on the Banshee? souL wasn't even close, man. Maybe that's the tournament nerfs coming in as well. A little bit. Oof. SERRAL trying to get lucky, but yeah. I like this a lot. So now it's going to be a battlecruiser as a follow-up. Very uncommon, though, to go Banshee into battlecruiser. Haven't really seen that all too often, and I wonder if SERRAL is going to care too much. I mean, the thing is, right, it sounds good in the books, but when you think about it, right now, you know, you go for a Spore Crawler against the Banshees, and guess what you need against, you know, a battlecruiser? You still want to be going for those Banshees as well. Anyways, even though souL is very well known for playing that bio-based Terran play, he's going to go for a factory switch right now, so it will be a mech transition. SERRAL hasn't seen that battlecruiser production at all, so he's still just going for the bailing nest, and he will follow it up with a Spire. Okay, so maybe he does sniff out right now that something is not quite right, despite not having seen the battlecruiser yet. Here it is. The big boy is out. Where's he going to go? Looks like he will be going straight across the map towards the main base here of the Zerg. Already the overlords are pushed around as well. They're going to be sent towards the safety of the mineral line. Let's see how much damage this battlecruiser can do. Any drone kill right now is nice. Not bad at all. It's going to be a second battlecruiser as well right now, plus the Yamato cannon upgrade. So this will be spotted right away as well by SERRAL. You see the little battlecruiser dance, or the, what's it called, the fusion core dance? It's beautiful, man. Whenever it's dancing, you know that something's researching. Now, it could be many things. It could be a medevac buff. It could be a Liberator ranged upgrade. It could be a couple of different things, but believe it or not, whenever there's battlecruisers in play, you should probably assume it's going to be the Yamato cannon. The weapon refit. Okay. A few of the Zerglings there do snipe a couple of those Hellions too. Armories are coming up only right now though, and that's one of the downsides of playing this build. The upgrades start up so very late. This is generally speaking going to be a more passive approach right now from the... oh, there it is. Another battlecruiser over at the third base. There's already a second Spore Crawler though, so I don't even know exactly how much he's going to be able to get done with this one. Generally speaking... Oh, God. Ugh. Is he going to be able to get that out? Okay. I always feel like they're going to die so easily, but then they always live. There's 8 mutas coming up, though, so maybe this battlecruiser is still going to be in a little bit of trouble. Second battlecruiser inside of the main base. Now, there is tactical jump available, so he's probably trying to, like, deflect these mutas from going after the... Oh, and then it actually works. It looks like it's working. Well, is it? Nah, never mind. It's not working. Sorry, BC. Yeah, so this other battlecruiser... It jumped all the way back home, and the one over here, sadly, will go up in a puff of smoke. I was saying something about upgrades. I don't remember. There we go. Finally right now, man. That's 8 minutes. After the 8-minute mark is when we finally see upgrades coming up. And that's not ideal. So one of the things that the top-level Zergs like doing against mech is play Mutas, which makes about as little sense as can be. Thors are absolutely phenomenal against Mutalisk, obviously. They can absolutely shut those down really, really nicely. But what Mutas are really good at is containing the Terran player. So right now, SERRA'L can do whatever he likes. And apparently, one of the things that he likes is going for a base with high-yield Vespene Geysers. And what is Terran going to do? I mean, this is pretty close to the side of the Terran player, I guess. But, I mean, this is, well, A, not something that the Terran player really expects right now. This is awfully greedy. And B, he doesn't really have that mobile of an army, right? He's got a whole bunch of Marines. He needs to be careful, though. SERRA'L, that is... Oof. Those Javelin missiles, they hurt. But, yeah, SERRA'L can just do whatever he likes. So already, look at that. He's going to go up to nearly 100 workers here. That's a lot of workers. And he's going to be able to mine a lot of stuff. Now, I don't think he plans on killing this Terran player with Mutalisks. I don't think that's necessarily the smartest choice. But you can really slow them down and just be a massive pain in the butt with those Mutalisks. Important, though, to note right now is that souL did secure a 4th command center. And I do think that's actually really, really critical for him. If he would have had trouble getting that one up, he's, you know, obviously not going to be able to sustain this army for very long. Can you please make this into a planetary? Oh, he lost the engineering bay. He lost the engineering bay here at the front, so he can't make a planetary right now. Okay, then. He could actually, SERRA'L, that is, potentially go for a push here if he really wants to. There we go. Planetary does start up. Battlecruisers jump into this position, but by the time that they're finished warping in, or they finished warping in, rather, the Mutas are already gone. And this is where this becomes a very scary game for the Terran player, right? So look at this. SERRA'L is maxed out right now. He's at 200 food. Or supply, as we call it in StarCraft. He's got to be able to spread the creep wherever he likes. Whatever his heart desires, he can spread it wherever he wants. And he can make a massive army, producing whatever he looks at and, you know, perceives as a good unit, right? Like, he can make whatever. And the constant tech switching and the remaxing that Zerg can do so quickly is extremely difficult to play against if you are a Terran player, right? Because right now, yeah, you want to have some Thors out because it's great against all of those... oh my god, this is so many Bailings! He's just gonna push in there! He will! Ooh, Corrosive Bile is actually not the greatest there, but look at the max out. Once again, SERRA'L doesn't care, man. He's gonna be able to remax here multiple times. Battlecruisers in a little bit of trouble. Does get one of those BCs, but there's also a Thor right there on the... well, in the mineral line. That's 10 Mutas going down here in the grand scheme of things. So you can see the cost efficiency right here. Well, I mean, he's lost a lot more gas, which is the more important resource at this point. But the cost efficiency right now definitely in favor of the Terran player. But, I mean, SERRA'L's just mining more stuff, right? If you look at the income right now, he's getting more mineral income, he's getting more gas income. So as long as he manages to contain this Terran player on 4 bases, eventually these 4 bases run out. It's not going to be that much money. And, well, he's going to have a massive bank by the time that hits. Now, the entire strategy right here is based around the fact that Zerg cannot trade efficiently with the Terran army in the late game. So Zerg late game kind of sucks, right? Now, I made a video recently titling Zerg late game sucks, question mark, or something like that. It's a little tongue-in-cheek, because it's true. Like, Zerg late game is just not very good. But guess what is good? SERRA'L. He's gonna be able to just continuously push in here. He's not trading super efficiently, although that trade was not bad at all. He's just slowing down this Terran player, making sure that he can never really get much value in. There's spine crawlers in pretty much every single base. There's a queen in pretty much every single base as well. So these Hellions are not going to be able to achieve anything. There's spore crawlers in every base too. This feels like a game right now where SERRA'L really can't lose. He's going for the Ultralisk Caravan. He's getting himself a ton of upgrades. And this, I think, is going to be the reason why Terran mech will fall out of favor as time progresses. Look at how cleanly SERRA'L is dismantling this. Now, I just want to emphasize that most Zerg players suck at playing against mech, myself included. I think a lot of us don't feel comfortable playing against mech at all. Because the thing is, once Terran maxes out, right, it's extremely powerful and it's really difficult to beat. But look at this, SERRA'L's just not going to allow it to ever get there. He's throwing away unit after unit, rolls in about a gajillion Banelings here. He doesn't care. Just gets kills every once in a while. He's looking for that juicy SCV clump, finds most of it, gets a lot of worker kills. And by the time that this army is dead, he's gonna be able to remax once again. There we go. Is he actually out of larva? He isn't. He's probably just waiting for maybe a couple of ultralisks here as well. Muta's in the meantime over here. And SERRAL is absolutely picking this Terran player apart. It's kind of crazy, man. Like, the skill level, even at this level, like, the difference is so noticeable. So just to clarify, right? souL is a 7k MMR Terran player. He's 7,000 MMR. There's like 5 people that can actually reach 7,000 MMR. I'm not even kidding. Okay, not even, maybe not 5, maybe like a dozen. But SERRAL'S making this look easy so far. Now, eventually, though, souL is going to be able to max out. And I think he's going to have one shot. Will he capture it, or will he let it slip? Is there vomit on his sweater already? What about Mom's spaghetti? Okay, no, sorry. Wait, hold up. Well, these mutas, completely pointless. Not really doing much. But are keeping this Zerg player contained. Or this Terran player, rather, contained. Now, look at this, actually. This is... I'm talking like the game is already over, but it's really not the case. We're just about to go up to 10 battlecruisers. Which is a lot of battlecruisers. 10 battlecruisers is pretty insane. Already, though, corruptors are being added on here. If the Terran player manages to get a 5th base, I like this position for him a lot more. Here we go. Big push. Big amount of baneling hits as well. Nice corrosive balls there. Yeah, you know what? Now with the Thors able to go after some of these air units, this might be reasonable. Yeah, if Terran manages to secure a 5th base, but where is he going to do that? Is he going to fly it over here? Not going to happen, dude. There's going to be Zerg all over you. Is he going to fly it over here? Not going to happen. There's a Zerg base there. What is that mythological figure called? Is it the Hydra? The one where you cut off one head and then 3 new ones, like, appear? That's kind of what happens in this case. Whenever, like... you know, souL deals a little bit of damage, there's gonna be like 3 times as many things when he comes back there next time around. Yeah. And it's a slow and methodical approach though, right? Because SERRAL is just waiting for this Terran player to either move out or to try and push out to a new expansion. Now, apparently it's gonna be the second of those 2 options. So he will see right now that the Terran army is on the move. I wonder if he just gonna... he could just push into this army, to be honest. I wouldn't mind that at all. Yeah, if Terran gets another base up and running, this is going to be so much better for him. So I don't think SERRAL is going to allow that. Look at the bank as well. Here we go. SERRAL is looking to lay down the law. Now, does he have enough right now to break into this? We do have more banelings here on the back of this in just a little bit as well. The Thor's dealing a lot of damage. You know what? That Zerg late game army is absolute trash. It's it's not going to do much. SERRAL is actually forced to spend his bank right now. Oh my god. Wait, what? 5th base actually is acquired here. Ay. This just shows you how good the Terran mech army is, man. Well, by the time that the Terran player kills 1 base, Zerg is going to be remaxed. SERRAL sending in a lot of units here for the counterattack. He's going to be able to go after that Terran mineral line again if he wants to, but I think he's probably going to save some resources because he really doesn't have that much, despite the fact that he's been mining so much more here. Here come the reinforcing corruptors. Is there going to be enough right now for the Zerg player to close out this game? Looks like pretty much all those Terran units are disappearing. More corruptors are coming up right now as a reinforcement as well. Lots of Zerglings are still streaming the map, and yeah, there it is. souL. He's forced to GG out in a 17-minute long game where it felt like he was losing for like the last, I don't know, 13 minutes of it. Ridiculously good game right there by SERRAL, slowly dismantling this Terran player over time. And while it looked like souL had a shot there at the very end for just a little bit, SERRAL still just had way too much stuff. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, hit that like button down below. If you want to see more, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get notifications as soon as future videos go live. A special shout out to the Patreon supporters. Thank you very much for all your generosity. But for now, I want to thank you for watching. Have an amazing day. Don't forget to smile. And I'll see you once again in the next one.